Let's go ahead and rank relationship red flags. This one's a little bigger than my normal tier list, so this one's going to be a little bit longer, but we're going to go ahead and do this kind of voting system for it. I didn't make this tier list. We're going to go through it, and we'll see what we think. We'll see if we agree. So different political alignments. In theory, the answer is no, but to me, it, there's an extreme to it. So if I'm, I tend to be probably a little more conservative, and if I was dating this raging liberal, uh, trans and all that kind of stuff, it wouldn't go well. But if someone was just moderately, did maybe I guess just like not an obnoxious thing. So I'm not gonna put it as something too good. I'm gonna say depends on the situation. I think that's actually a pretty perfect answer. It invested in politics to me. As, I mean, I obviously just said I was conservative, but it's still it depends on the situation, really. I'm not huge into it. As long as you're not super into it, it definitely won't be a problem. Practice a religion you're not involved with, that's not a problem. Uh, Neutral does not matter. Absolutely. Lives with parents. Once again, it does not matter. At this age, early 20s, it's really not an indictment for somebody to live with their parents. Kind of smart decision. Choose loudly. Oh, sorry. It's bad. It's bad. It's just obnoxious. Orders the fast food option at specialty restaurants. I'm assuming that means like getting chicken tenders at like I'm not 100% sure actually what this means. It's probably fine. I don't really care what somebody eats. I'll probably eat something weird too, so. Oh shit, I didn't mean to put that there. I don't know how to change my vote. Alright, I guess we're gonna keep it there. Oh, I don't even know how to go forward. Okay, there we go. Picky eater, not a problem to me. I'm a little picky myself, so actually I probably like this. Inconsistent communication. Inconsistent is not bad. This is gonna go in bad but manageable. I'm gonna actually inconsistent. It's not like they're not. It's just I'm gonna say not the worst. Dismissive of your feelings and opinion. Yeah, I mean that's obviously a deal breaker. Controlling, it's obviously a deal breaker. Lack of accountability, it's obviously a deal breaker. Unwilling to address or resolve conflicts, that's obviously a deal breaker. These are just like negative traits. Passive aggressive, dude. I actually just hate. It's one of my biggest pet peeves. Just be aggressive. Lack of emotional availability. That's not the worst thing in the world. I'm gonna literally. It's perfect. These tiers are named for basically what I'm saying. Excessive jealousy. Thing is, I don't think I do a lot of things that would promote somebody being jealous. I'm sitting here making tier lists at 12 at night. So I'm gonna say bad but manageable. Constantly negative. This is the worst to me. I'm an extreme. Maybe I'm not a super positive person. I'm a very judgmental person, but I also happen to be very positive. So this is disregards boundaries. Probably don't have a ton, but it's bad but manageable. Doesn't have the same music taste whatsoever. I mean, especially nothing I wouldn't listen to outside of like, if this means that for this to be true, they'd have to just only listen to rap, which would be tough because like they'd be miserable car rides. Bad but manageable. One uppers. Oh, like, oh, I'm this better than you. I'm a hard person to one up. This would be kind of an obnoxious thing, especially if it's happening all the time. Excessively compliments. This is I'm gonna say could be good because the word's excessive there. It almost comes off a little sarcastic. Surprised how many people have that down there. Never compliments. That's also I'm gonna say instant. You can't never. You can't never. Only compliments physical. It really depends. If it's like evident they hate my actual personality, it's quite miserable. But if it's just like the one thing that they really are not a constantly late. Not a huge time guy. Not the worst thing in the world. Last minute cancels. Ah, it, I'm assuming that this isn't like, oh, you have an emergency. It's, oh, like I'm gonna do something else, which to me is ridiculous. Rude to service, instant deal breaker. That's tough. Does not have a single close friend. This is a sleeper, terrible thing. You i- imagine. I'm hoping if you're watching this, you have a close friend. If I didn't have a close friend, I'd probably be a pretty miserable person, or there'd be a pretty good reason. That's tough. Brags about how good of a liar they are. This is obviously a super negative trait. A lot of these are just like super negative. Goes to the gym every day. Why would this be? Okay, that's definitely not a red flag. Never goes to the gym. Yeah, it's not the worst thing. It's really not. Well, I kind of want to change and say depends on the situation because if they never go to the gym and they're 300 pounds, then that's obviously bad. But it's not like if flatly the only thing I know about you is that you don't go to the gym, it's obviously it's a mental disorder. I probably have a two or three myself, so this would be pretty pretty judgmental of me to say neurodivergent. That's a tough one. I actually don't know what that means. Let me give you a quick look up. Neurodivergent means that forms or works differently. That's obviously, it could be good. I'm just going to skip that. I don't know what it is. Makes plans for the future without consulting our preferences. I like that they're making plans for the future. I'd like them to have my preferences, so it's not the worst. Longest relationship never lasted more than a month. That's tough. Multiple exes in the same year. That's also tough. Never been in a relationship. That's also tough. These are just things where it's like, if you were to form an equation to calculate the success rate, these would be in the negative factor part of that equation. Puts a lot of labels. Not the worst. It's kind of annoying. I'm not a huge label guy. Constantly brings up an ex. That's a miserable thing to listen to. Lacks empathy. You gotta lacks empathy. It's just like not a good trait. It's not like you need a lot. I actually prefer you to have not zero, but not 100 on a scale of 0 to 100. I prefer like 35 to 45, which is, I'm going to say, pretty bad. Males with only, so females with only female friends. The thing is, it's not like an insecure thing, but that's like, if I were to name my 13 closest friends, they'd all be male outside of my girlfriend. We exclude that for this situation. So to me, it's probably a good thing. I'll say it could be good because if like guys hate her, then it's probably weird. This is weird to me. If your girlfriend has only male friends, why do women not like her? She probably has some negative traits. I'm gonna say bad romantic. References outdated gender roles. I actually prefer outdated gender roles. So you can find their whole life in social. That's miserable to me. As somebody who's, I guess it's kind of hypocritical because I'm posting this to social media, but I don't have a lot of social media. Quote, no drama, please. I'm not really sure what that means. No. Only hobbies include a TV, video game, and computer. You know, the thing is a good portion of my hobbies include these three items. I want somebody who's capable of bringing me out of my comfort zone. So no. One word replies. I'm assuming that means in text. That's obviously not acceptable. I talk shit behind their friend's back. I do this too. Not all my friends, but some of them. So not the worst thing. Is a victim of every story. This is so annoying for me. This goes hand in hand with unable to take accountability, which I put into Dealbreaker. So they act like they're better than everyone else. Well, if they are, you know, I'm a big proponent of if they are. Always feel the need to prove themselves. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It could be good. Rude parents. That's if they suck. It's definitely not a deal breaker because the context would matter, but can't text in complete sentences. It's annoying, but it's really does not matter. Attention budge. This is super annoying to me. It's just like obnoxious. I don't like people that are like this. So you have to make other big plans. That's not a big deal. I don't know if I love it though. It's not the worst thing. They want to make other big plans. I would prefer those. Always on their phone. Yeah, it's if it's always Can't. Oh, this is just like this goes hand in hand with the mental illness thing. This is kind of an obvious one. This is not bad. I'm a huge guy cooking guy. Well, you know what? Maybe it would be because if it's like, oh, like I don't want you to cook because XYZ, I'd rather go out. So I'm gonna say not the worst thing. Likes going for drinks, nothing wrong with that. If it's a fun person to go out to drinks with, could be good. Struggles with keeping a job. Yeah, this is stupid. Comes off a nice guy, doesn't require for women. Feelings who affectionately return. Yeah, I don't really know. It's bad but manageable. Swear, I have a sailor's mouth too. Is he against swearing? Can't. Like I said, why would this matter? Also doesn't matter. That's probably a good thing. So I'm a little tubby myself. I probably get pretty judged a lot. But maybe they have me stop being fat. This is tough. Yeah. Maybe if I could break it, change him. Doesn't have a degree. Why? This is there's just like obviously nothing wrong with this. It could be good if they have the same view of me as code being a scam. I was a little debt. Ooh, student loan debt. Probably not great. Any other debt, probably not great. Kind of depends on the situation. Never turn on the substance. It's not a problem to me. Once kid. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, could be. It needs a lot of personal space. It depends. If it's like, it really just depends. If it's like, there's a definition of too much. Because I do too. Likes cartoons. I feel like, I don't, maybe like two of every 10 shows that I'll watch be a cartoon. So this is like worth it, whatever. It just like doesn't matter. I mean, I just watch it by myself, really. So talkative online, silent art. Yeah, like online means nothing. Your friends do not like them. Yeah, I mean, I have friends with girlfriends I don't like either, so it doesn't really mean anything to them. Extreme involvement with parents, that's probably a good thing. As an addiction, I'm addicted to a couple of things. So it'd be pretty hypocritical, but I'll say depends. If it's heroin, then obviously it's a problem. Only takes you at night, yeah. I mean, what are you just not text person? Like, bad communicating, it's bad manageable. It just goes for crazy. This is always bad. Unless they tell you that he or she killed people, then I don't even want to know this. You know what I mean? She in the past, obviously massive deal breaker. This is it's it's not a character flaw that you're overcoming. If you're the kind of person that would do this, you're the kind of person that could always do this. I don't think there's anything wrong with this. You're a pretty reassuring person, so disrespect animals, yeah. Well, it depends. I'm a huge meat. It depends on your definition, but I'm a huge meat guy. So if it's like, oh, I'm gonna eat steak, then let's do it. But if it's like kicking dogs, we'll put it up here. Trust issues. That's fine. Depends the consequences of the issues, but to me, it's whatever. I don't either. So maybe we could relate to it together. This really doesn't matter to me. It's maybe a little weird. Depends on the situation. Smokes, prefer that? Those drugs? Well, the thing is, I do one, but I don't. I doubt these are the same. So if it's like heroin, I'm just like, no. I'd probably prefer the driving, so probably could be good. Excessive thirst, anime women. Yeah, it's already quirky. I feel like every person I've ever either had somebody else describe as quirky or describe themselves as quirky, I hated. So this is such an intolerable trait. I like I have a very specific rec disorder too, so close to TikTok IRL. I probably wouldn't know. I don't have TikTok downloaded, so gamer because I don't. It's just like a hobby that I'd rather share with my friends. I'd rather her be an excuse for me not to play. So I'm gonna say it could be good. Depends on the extent. It really does. Like it could be weird. It probably isn't though. So I'm gonna say so. Female with a masculine hobby. That probably means like football, something like that. If it feels like a genuine interest, could be good. Anger issues. Yeah. I don't think it's awful. 'Cause I can be a little angry too, but yeah, this is tough. It depends on the relationship with the person. It really depends. Just not like when you are with, yeah, it's obviously bad. It's obviously bad. Thing is, I don't need them to try my hobbies. If I'm like, oh, you should try it, it'd be fun to do something together, and they just hands down won't. Right, Tom. This is depressing. As somebody with lots of all of them, will it use their phone? Yeah, I mean, it's just like why? It's not a problem at all. This is psychopathy. This person is a psychopath. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I prefer this because I'm too. That's obviously not cool. This is super cringe. Oh, that's yeah. I mean, you don't want to be a racist person. Yeah, like the same thing. Like you don't want to make dark jokes. Just porn. It depends. Probably not the weirdest thing in the world, but doesn't ever dress up for a date. Dude, I don't like dressing up either. But if like we want to go somewhere nice and she's wearing sweats, is that cool? I'm naturally pretty cool, so this is really whatever. I think this is just a sign of connection, really. I'm not 100% sure what that means. I'm gonna very early is probably that. If we get some important holidays or anniversaries, literally doesn't matter. Okay, no, this is just not for me. Um, yeah, it's just sign of a low intelligence, depending on what conspiracy theory, but generally a size of like a sign of low intelligence. I'm gonna do depends though, because if you just think that JFK was an inside job and so was and Bush did 9/11, sure, probably did, but we don't think we want to. This is depends really. Well, I'm trying to think like I'm gonna. So these are what people voted that did this. This makes me think that it's more like core beliefs, which I don't even know if you could convert me. So I'll say this thing. As a filter, you have to have a filter. If you have no filter, you're just an insensitive. This is, I wouldn't say it's a deal breaker, but it's the same thing where it's a sign of low intelligence. Oh, I do this too. I hate leftovers. Goes with the flow. I prefer that. Yeah, this is just sad to me. I don't want someone who wants to live together with them first year before marriage. It really depends. I mean, there are a lot of situations where this isn't actually that bad, especially when you're a little older. I mean, if you're like choosing it, it really depends. I'm gonna say probably that. Rational openness. It's just like annoying to deal with. We're all human, but so is our last human. It's yeah, it's just annoying. I hate that kind of stuff here. It's probably kind of funny, but it depends. If it's like too much, out of child from a relationship. As a 21-year-old man, I'm gonna say that's a deal breaker for right now. But if I was 35, this would the answer would be uh, not the worst. He does question about you. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's just a sign of somebody who's not interested in you. Always wants to split the bill. That's probably great. I'd probably prefer that. Expect you to pay for everything. It depends on the attitude about it. If it's just expects, it's actually probably bad. If somebody who's like, "Oh, you need to pay, you're the man," or whatever, it's like, if you hold up your end of the bargain, maybe, but used to borrow money a lot. I just don't. I would never enter a relationship with somebody who was extremely financially unstable where they're borrowing money from me every week. So, yeah, it's just a miserable thing. So you don't own until marriage. I'm assuming that this means you're not exclusive until marriage, which is obviously a deal breaker. They always change the plans to better suit them. If it just means like they need to be the conveniencer of a situation, but it's like it just depends on what the situation is. If it's like, oh, like it'd be so much easier to come into my house because it's closer. Can't help me at my worst, don't deserve me at my best. That's a ridiculous quote. They miss high school. Uh, yeah, that's tough. I mean, like, what does it mean to miss high school? Like, yeah, I'm gonna say no. Unless I knew them in high school. Unsure about their sexuality. There's nothing really wrong with that. I'm surprised a lot of people replace an instant deal breaker for. It depends on unsure. Unsure if it's both. You know what? It does really depend. Because if it's like, oh, I might just not like them. I'm not a huge photo guy. Maybe because I'm ugly, but it's really more of just hate taking pictures. I'm not a huge tattoo guy either. I know this is a massive personal opinion, but it's not an instant deal breaker. But it's right below it. That's for sure. Oh, obviously, mine's not. Mine's not too clean either. So I'm gonna say neutral. I'll say depends. They don't express any issues. I mean, it could just be perfect. Really could just be perfect. Has to do everything together. Yes, I like doing stuff by myself. Yeah. Yep. This wouldn't really apply to me, but it really depends on the situation. You have a perfect middle ground. Treat you like their therapist. This is so annoying. Just go get one. Only six more to go here. A couple of them we had already skipped. So really only one more. Not an active listener. This is such a stupid trade. And then we have these ones I'm not going to do. But this is the tier list. That doesn't want to help you see. Relationship red flags. We just went through probably about 100 options. That looks right. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree vehemently on any of these. Um, if you do, that's cool. Maybe you should make one of your own and we can see if we're different. Have a good night, everybody.